Another Reddit story from Ryan Rivers. Let's go.
I am the youngest in my family. Not that it ever really meant anything. We grew up rich, like actually rich. Big house, drivers, people cleaning, fridge, always full, even though no one ever went shopping themselves. From the outside, it probably looked perfect, but it never felt like a real family, more like people just living in the same place. My mom died when I was 9. After that, everything just kind of went quiet. Not peaceful quiet, just empty. My dad disappeared into work. Completely. Even when he was home, he wasn't really there. Always on calls, always stressed, always saying later or not now. I remember once, I waited outside his office just to show him something from school. I stood there for like 20 minutes. When he finally came out, he didn't even look at me properly, just said, "I'm busy, okay?" and walked past. I don't even remember what I wanted to show him. Just remember how that felt. After my mom died, we had nannies. A lot of them. They weren't bad people, but they weren't family either. You don't get attached because you know they'll leave sooner or later. My older sister, Lena, learned early how things worked. She's married, has a 5-year-old daughter, lives in a nice house, all paid for by my dad. She calls him when she needs something, not really for anything else. My older brother Mark is worse. No job, no plans, just parties, expensive cars, random people around him all the time. He talks to my dad like he owes him something, which is honestly crazy if you think about it. We barely talk as a family. Sometimes there were dinners, but they were awkward. Everyone on their phones, short answers, long silences. I remember one time my dad tried to ask Mark what he was doing these days, and Mark just said, "Why do you suddenly care?" and went back to his phone. No one even reacted. That's how normal it was. I moved out as soon as I could. Now I live with my girlfriend in a small apartment. Nothing fancy, but it feels real. I work a normal job, pay my bills, do my own stuff. It's not some big success story, but at least it's mine. My dad still sends me money sometimes. I don't like it. I barely touch it. Feels weird spending money I didn't earn. We talk sometimes, but it's always short. "How are you?" "I'm good." "You need anything?" "No, I'm fine." That's it. I kind of got used to things being like that. Thought it would stay like this. Then one morning, everything just fell apart. I woke up and saw a bunch of missed calls from my dad. Like, a lot, which already felt wrong because he never calls like that. I called him back right away. He picked up instantly. Didn't even say hello. Just said, "They froze everything." I thought I heard him wrong. "What do you mean, everything?" There was a pause. Then he said, quieter, "All accounts, mine, the company, everything's blocked." And yeah, that's when I knew something was seriously wrong. I asked him what happened, and for a second he didn't answer, just breathing on the other end. Then he goes, "There's an investigation." That word alone already sounded bad. "Investigation for what?" I asked. Another pause. Longer this time. "Financial fraud." I actually laughed a little at first. Not because it was funny, just it didn't make sense. "What? That's not... What are you talking about?" And he got kinda sharp for the first time, like frustrated. I didn't do anything. Then he calmed down again. "It's about the logistics company, one of the divisions. So basically my dad owns a few businesses, but the main one is this big logistics thing. Warehouses, transport, contracts with other companies. A lot of moving parts. Apparently, one of his business partners, some guy named Camille, who'd been around for years, had been running fake contracts through the company, like invoicing for services that didn't exist, moving money around, that kind of stuff. And it had been going on for a while. The problem is, everything was under my dad's company name. His signatures were on documents. His approval was on paper. So from the outside, it looked like he was involved. Authorities came in, started digging, and just froze everything. Company accounts, personal accounts, assets, even some properties. I asked him, okay, but can't you just explain it? Like, show it wasn't you. He let out this tired kind of laugh. It doesn't work like that. And yeah, I guess it doesn't. By the end of that day, things started hitting fast. Cards stopped working, transfers blocked, payments frozen. His office got searched, documents taken, computers too. Even the house, our house, was under review because technically it was tied to company money. I went there that evening just to see him. I hadn't been back in a while, and it felt off. Like even the house knew something was wrong. No staff around, lights half off. He was just sitting in the kitchen. No phone in his hand for once, just staring at nothing. I asked him if he'd talked to Lena or Mark. He nodded. They know. And? He didn't answer right away. Lena said she needs time, that she has a child to think about. That sounded exactly like her. And Mark? This time he actually looked at me, kind of bitter. He said I probably did something and got caught. I just stood there for a second, not even knowing what to say. Like, this is still our dad, but I guess for them, he was always just money. And now that the money was questionable, suddenly everything changed. Over the next few days, it got worse. Lawyers got involved, obviously. Expensive ones, but even paying them became a problem because accounts were locked. Some properties were basically seized temporarily. The house was at risk too. I remember asking him, "What are you going to do?" And he just said, "I don't know yet." I had never heard him say that before. Not once in my life. The next week was honestly just chaos. Everything started falling apart way faster than I expected. Like I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how fast bad turns into you're screwed. The house got locked into the investigation too. Not like kicked out overnight, but basically he couldn't stay there. It was tied to company money, so it was all under review. Staff stopped coming. Bills weren't being paid. It just shut down. I remember standing in that big living room, thinking how empty it looked without all the usual noise. It didn't even feel like our place anymore. Lena disappeared almost instantly. She stopped picking up his calls. Then she texted him something like, "I need to protect my daughter. I can't be involved in this." That was it. "No, are you okay?" Nothing. And Mark, yeah, he went the other direction. He showed up once, loud as always, acting like nothing serious was happening. Asked my dad for money like usual. My dad just looked at him and said, "I can't." And Mark just shrugged like, "Well, that's your problem," and left. Later I found out he still had access to some smaller accounts that weren't frozen yet, and he was just burning through it. Clubs, trips, whatever. Didn't even try to help. Didn't even ask what actually happened. It was like the second things got hard, everyone just stepped back. Except me, I guess. I didn't really think about it too much at the time. I just saw my dad sitting there with nowhere to go. And it felt wrong to leave him like that. So I said, "You can stay with me, for now." He looked at me like I said something weird. "At your place?" "Yeah, it's not big, but we'll figure it out." There was this pause. I think his pride was fighting with reality for a second. Then he just nodded. "Okay." So yeah, That's how my dad, who used to live in a huge house with staff and everything, ended up in my small apartment. And I won't lie, it was awkward, like really awkward at first. My girlfriend tried to be nice, but you could tell she didn't fully know how to act either. I didn't blame her. We had a small kitchen, one bedroom, a couch that was definitely not made for someone to sleep on long term. The first night, I remember him just sitting there on the edge of the couch, looking around. At one point, he said, "You live like this?" Not in a rude way, more like surprised. I just said, "Yeah, it's normal." He didn't answer. That first week, we barely talked. We were just existing in the same space, watching TV without really watching, eating in silence sometimes. But little things started happening. Like one morning, he was already up before me, trying to make coffee. He didn't know how the machine worked and just stood there pressing buttons. I showed him, and he actually listened, like properly listened. It felt weird. Then one evening, he asked me, "How much do you pay for rent?" I told him. He just nodded slowly, like he was doing some math in his head. And then he said, "You've been managing this on your own?" I shrugged. "Yeah, more or less." He didn't say anything after that, but something changed a little. Not big, just different. Still, the situation wasn't getting better. Lawyers needed money. Real money. And we didn't really have access to it anymore. That's when I realized this wasn't going to fix itself. So, yeah. At some point, it hit me that just sitting around and hoping things magically fix themselves wasn't going to work. The lawyers were still talking to my dad, but every conversation ended the same way. We need more time, and we need funds. Funds we didn't really have access to. I remember one night I asked him straight up, "How much do they need?" He hesitated, then said a number that made me laugh again. But this time, not in a "this is ridiculous" way. More like, "Yeah, we're screwed." It wasn't something I could just cover. Not even close, but I could at least do something. So I started small. Picked up extra shifts at work. Took whatever I could. Deliveries, random side jobs, helping a friend with his business on weekends. I was basically never home. My girlfriend didn't complain, but I could tell it was a lot for her too. Suddenly we had my dad living with us. Stress everywhere, me barely around. At some point, I sold my car. It wasn't anything crazy expensive, but still, my car. The one thing I bought fully on my own. I told myself it's just a car. I can get another one later. The money went straight to legal stuff. When I told my dad, he got quiet. "You didn't have to do that," he said. I just shrugged. "Yeah, I kind of did." He didn't argue, but I could see it bothered him, and things weren't smooth at all. There were setbacks constantly. One lawyer turned out useless, just taking money, doing nothing. We had to switch. Lost time, lost money. Some documents we needed were suddenly missing. People who used to work with my dad stopped answering calls. That guy, Camille, the partner who caused all this, basically vanished, like completely disappeared. Every time we thought we were making progress, something else would go wrong. And yeah, there were moments I got frustrated. One night I kind of snapped a little. I said, "How did you not notice any of this? Like seriously." It came out harsher than I meant. He didn't get angry though, just sat there for a second and said, "I trusted the wrong people." That was it. And honestly, I didn't even know what to say to that because, yeah, maybe he did. But also, he wasn't really around enough to notice anything if I'm being real. Still, I didn't push it further. Over time, things between us started to feel less awkward. We talked more. Not about deep emotional stuff or anything, just normal conversations. Like he'd ask about my work, or I'd ask something about how his business used to run. Sometimes we just sit and watch something and actually comment on it like normal people. It sounds small, but for us, it wasn't. One evening, we were eating, and he suddenly said, "I didn't realize how you've been living." I looked at him like, "What do you mean?" He kind of gestured around the apartment. "This, your life. You built it without me." I didn't really know how to respond, so I just said, "Yeah, I guess." He nodded but didn't add anything else. But again, something shifted a bit. Still, the case dragged on. Weeks turned into months. Money was tight. Stress didn't really go away, but we kept going. Because at that point, there wasn't really another option. It went on like that for months. Same routine. Work, stress, calls with lawyers, waiting, always waiting. Some days felt like maybe we were getting somewhere, and then the next day, something would fall apart again. Another delay, another problem, another, "We need more time." I stopped expecting good news at some point. My dad changed a lot during that time, not in some dramatic way, just quieter, more present, I guess. He started doing small things around the apartment, cleaning, cooking sometimes, badly but still. One time he tried to fix something in the bathroom and made it worse. We just stood there looking at it and actually laughed. Like properly laughed. That never used to happen. We started talking more too. Not about the past directly, but around it. Like one night he asked me, "Why didn't you ever ask me for more?" I knew what he meant, I just said, "Didn't feel like it would change anything." He nodded, like he understood exactly what I meant. There were still hard moments though, bills stacking up, my girlfriend getting tired of the situation, even if she didn't say it directly, me being exhausted all the time. I won't lie, there were nights I just sat in the kitchen thinking, how long can we even keep this up? But then, things started moving, slowly at first. The lawyers found proof that those contracts weren't signed by my dad directly. Some signatures were digital copies, reused. There were email trails that didn't match, transactions going to accounts that had nothing to do with him. That guy, Camille, finally got tracked down too. Not by us, but by authorities. Turned out he'd been doing this kind of thing for a while, just using different companies. Once that came out, everything started shifting. Not instantly, but you could feel it. Accounts slowly getting unlocked. Restrictions lifted piece by piece. I remember the day my dad checked his phone and said, "One account is back." He didn't smile or anything, just said it quietly, but I could tell it meant everything. Over the next weeks, more things got cleared, properties released, business access restored. It wasn't like flipping a switch, but slowly, his life came back. And yeah, with it came the money again. That's when something interesting happened. Lena called, out of nowhere. I was in the room when he answered. Her voice was suddenly soft, careful, asking how he's been, saying she was really worried, that she didn't know what to do before. He just listened, didn't say much. Then Mark showed up too, literally just showed up at my apartment like nothing happened, acting friendly, asking if everything's good now, making jokes, like the last few months never happened. I remember standing there, watching both of them, thinking, wow, that's all it takes, huh? Money comes back and suddenly we're a family again. My dad didn't react much at first, but I could tell he saw it. He understood exactly what was going on. And a few days later, he told all of us to come meet him. Said he wanted to talk properly. For the first time in a long time. All three of us were going to be in the same room. We met at his place. Yeah, his place again. The house was back. Staff too. Everything looked exactly the same as before, which felt kind of weird after everything. Lena came dressed like it was some event. Mark showed up late, obviously. I almost didn't go, honestly. Something about it felt off. We all sat in the living room. Same big space, same furniture, but the vibe was completely different. At first it was just small talk. Lena talking about her daughter like she always does. Mark joking about crazy times, like it was some funny story. My dad just listened. Then Lena goes, "We were really worried about you, you know. It was just a difficult situation." I had to look away at that point. Mark added something like, "Yeah, I mean, things got messy, but we're here now." And that's when my dad finally spoke, calm, not loud, but very clear. "Where were you?" Silence, like instantly. Lena tried to say something, but he cut her off. Not aggressively, just firm. "No, really, where were you?" No one had an answer. Then he looked at me for a second, then back at them. "I know why you're here now," he said. That one hit. You could see it on their faces, too. Then he said something I didn't expect at all. "I've already made arrangements." Lena frowned a little. "What do you mean?" He took a breath, like he thought about this a lot. "Everything I own has been transferred." There was this pause. Mark leaned forward. "Transferred to who?" And my dad just said it, simple as that. "To him." And nodded at me. I actually thought he was joking at first. I said, "Wait, what?" Lena started talking immediately, like fast, almost panicking. "Dad, what are you saying? That doesn't make any sense." Mark stood up. "You can't be serious." I looked at my dad like, this isn't funny. "I didn't help you for money," I said. "You know that." He nodded. "I know." "Then why would you do this?" And this time, he looked straight at me. "Because you stayed when there was nothing to gain." No big speech, just that. Then he added quieter, "I built everything thinking it was for all of you. But I was wrong about what actually matters." No one spoke for a second. Then everything kinda exploded. Lena started crying, saying it's unfair, bringing up her daughter. Mark got angry, saying I manipulated him somehow, which was honestly insane. I didn't even argue back. Didn't feel like it. My dad just sat there and listened for a bit. Then he said, "I'm not changing my decision." That was it. Conversation over. They left angry, loud, doors slammed, all that. And yeah, that was the last time we were all together like that. Now things are different. My dad still lives comfortably, just quieter now. I still live in the same apartment, actually. Didn't suddenly change everything. Legally, yeah, most of what he owns is in my name now, but I don't really touch it like that. I just know it's there. And honestly, the weirdest part isn't the money. It's that for the first time in my life, it actually feels like I have a father, not just someone who sends money. And I guess that's the part I didn't expect at all.
If you like this story, you'll find more like it on my channel.